Well, hello. I assume that you are watching this video because you just got your Georgia bar exam results, or perhaps someone you love just got their results and they were not favorable. And I'm sorry if that's the case. I definitely feel for you, and I empathize, and I know how difficult it is after these results come out to have to deal with the reality of not having passed the exam. But I also know something about you just by the fact that you're watching this video, and that is that you don't give up easily. You don't quit, and so you're already trying to figure out, what do I do next? And I think we can be of help to you. Let me introduce myself. My name is Jackson Mummy. I'm the owner and founder of Celebration Bar Review. And personally, I've been teaching Georgia bar exam for almost 25 years now. It's kind of incredible to me to think about it that way. Over the years at Celebration Bar Review, we've worked with hundreds and hundreds of Georgia bar takers successfully from all walks of life and all circumstances. We've worked for students who have been repeat bar takers. That's probably our primary area of emphasis these days. We've worked with Georgia attorney applicants, and we've worked with out-of-state attorneys and folks that have been taking the exam many, many times before they finally got through. In all those years of experience, I can tell you that one of the really interesting trends to me is how much more difficult the Georgia bar has become over the years, and how much more difficult it is, not just in terms of the questions, but the gradings and the structure, and even to the point of release of grades. This is the last major jurisdiction in the country to release bar exam grades, which means that if you're looking at the next bar exam date, you've got probably about 65 days or so until that test. So they certainly don't make it easy for you, and I appreciate the difficulty with that. I will tell you that over the years that we've been teaching Georgia bar, I believe we have the highest published pass rate of any major bar review company in Georgia, and that includes working with people like yourself who had to retake the bar. So as a home study course, we're able to give more attention and more focus to people who are in a repeat bar situation, and I think that's a real advantage for you. Let me just give you some very quick, specific next steps that I think you ought to consider regardless of what you ultimately end up doing. But you've just gotten your results, so what do you do now? Well, number one, in my mind, is that you want to have some sort of objective eyes looking at your scores and your results along with you. You know, there are plenty of people that care about you, I'm sure, and who would like to tell you what they think the results mean. But the reality is that there are very few people that really understand the bar exam and the process and the scoring process and the interpretation process. Humbly, I would say I'm one of those people. And so one of the things we'd like to offer you is a free, no obligation consultation with me. There'll be a link on this page where you can schedule an appointment for 15 minutes or so to talk with me about your results and what they mean and how to interpret them and what to do next. If you don't want to talk with me, at least get with somebody who's objective to help you look at these results. Someone at your law school, somebody that you trust, someone who knows something about the bar exam. But don't try to interpret them by yourself. It's difficult. It's hard to do when there's an emotional overlay, and it's not very productive for you. But I do think you need to look at them objectively and cleanly and say, what does this mean? What do I do now? Where are my strengths and my weaknesses? And we're glad to do that with you. The second thing that I think you need to do, and this is going to be a hard one for you to hear, but you need to get back and study. Even if you are, certainly if you're taking the next exam, you need to get started right away. If you're deciding that you're going to sit out an exam, which many people in Georgia do because of the short time frame between results and the next test, you still should start your studies now. The optimum amount of time to study for the bar exam, in our view, is 4 to 6 months. If you begin now, a couple of things happen. One is it gives you something to focus on, so you're not dwelling on the bad results and the way that you feel and building that up into something more than it should be. Secondly, it lets you build on the information that you've already acquired in coming this far in your bar studies. And I think it just gives you a better frame of mind generally. So I would encourage you to get started and study, regardless of which bar exam you're taking or what date you're taking. The third concrete step I would take is I would seriously consider changing the way that you study for the exam. If you took one of the large bar review companies, a Barbary or a Kaplan, for example, those are good companies, but they are not well suited to repeat bar takers. That's not their happy place, if you will. It's not what they do best. And quite frankly, sitting in another classroom course for 6 weeks to hear the same material delivered the same way with the same lack of attention to your personal needs is going to probably produce the same result for you. Statistically, at least, it would suggest to be that way. I think that it's really important at this stage that you rethink how you're studying and you look for support and focus on your weak areas. For many of you, that'll be in the writing, the essays and performance tests, and that's certainly an area of expertise that I have and that Celebration Bar Review has had for many years. The ability to work with students one-on-one with their writing, to identify their writing styles and their problems, and getting at those and resolving them. We also have a program that we offer called Successful Test Application Resources, which are third-party resources to assist you with your reading comprehension, your test anxiety, any peripheral issues that are affecting the way you study for the bar. And so oftentimes what we suggest is our personal mentoring bar review, in which you're sending work specifically to me and conferencing with me about that work, along with our STAR package, which comes with a variety of products, and we'll link to that so that you can see some information there as well. Encourage you to look at that and think about doing it. Our results for students that have taken the STAR package, which are primarily repeat bar takers, have been extraordinary, well over 90% pass rates across the country with some extraordinarily difficult circumstances. So I really encourage you to look into that if you're going to retake the exam. I think it's important that you change your bar taking approach if you weren't successful in the past. And we'd be glad to talk with you about that. We may not be the right fit for you, but I think that it's important that you talk with someone about what those options are and what you can do. And quite frankly, I think you'll be surprised at how affordable it is, relative to not passing the bar and waiting another cycle to take the exam, which is clearly a more expensive alternative these days. In any event, I know that this is a frustrating and a discouraging time for you, but it doesn't have to be the end of the road, and it doesn't have to be where your story ends. We've worked with many, many people over the years who others had rejected and said, nah, they can never pass, they're never going to make it, they didn't go to a good enough law school, whatever the problem was. And we've gotten those people through the bar exam, and I'm confident we can do that with you, and I'm confident that we can show you better ways to do what you're presently doing. So I encourage you to contact me. Let's talk about your results, let's talk about some possibilities, and see what we can do to get your name on the pass list for the next edition of the Georgia Bar Exam. Thanks very much and best wishes. Appreciate you watching this video.